It's not a program. We'll start, just let us set up the stage. If that video made you cringe, I'm sorry, but that was the idea. I'll ask one question, and I'll show you everybody in the audience will say yes. The question is, how many of you remember the Delhi rape case? All of us. I'm from Delhi or around Delhi. Over years, heat teasing, rape, mutilation, women getting battered. These are things I hear every day. Being a woman, I'm desensitized. I stopped caring. Every day there is a rape, so what? Something happens. Bad for the girl, bad for the mother, bad for the father, move on. But somehow after a long time, the Delhi rape victim case got a lot of attention. Both from media and from people. From students, professors, teachers, staff. I mean, we were in this college surrounded by people discussing how horrible it was. And for once, it got to me. And I couldn't understand why. When I watched the interview, I cried. And I was like, wow, I was from Delhi. Why am I crying? But the difference in that case, I think, was the girl. I don't remember the case anymore. I don't remember the 2-hour interview. I remember one dialogue. For a woman who was lying on a bed dying, after having had a steel rod inside her, she looked at the camera and said, I want to live. I get depressed when I get a B-neg in exam. How do you muster that courage? I didn't understand. But to me, that was what this movement is about. There are a lot of feminist movements. On this campus, I've been called a feminist many times. But the fact is, mostly we stand up and say, tell men to respect women. But I know that's not fair, right? All the men in this audience respect women. So unless we come up with some psychographic segmentation where we talk only to the rapists and educate them, What is the point of it? You're talking to people who respect women. You're calling them horrible human beings because one guy went ahead and raped a woman. That's not fair. So the point is that men or women or family cannot save that woman. Because if you watch the video, all the incidents were done in private. The woman doesn't get raped in the middle of a mall. So Sunny Deol can't come and say, stop, save her. The woman who got battered by the husband was late at night at home. So how do you help? How do you stop this? By talking to that woman. Give her the courage to stand up and say no. Give her the courage to fight back. It has been proved that rapes don't happen when the woman struggles. Why is that? It's because women sometimes are weak or too lost to defend themselves, that they somehow have these things happen to them. So this movement is about that weak, insecure woman standing up and saying, I have had enough. The fact is that we would all like to help. Volunteer work, spending time over weekends sounds lovely. I've tried it myself. I volunteered myself. But the fact is I realized I didn't make much of a difference. I didn't do much. But there are agencies and global movements like this which are making the difference. The movement has been headed by a woman called Eve Ensler, the one who wrote Vagina Monologues. To us today, it's a controversial play which we will laugh at and smirk at. But imagine this woman a few 20 years back who got up and said, you know what? I want to go on stage, call men in the audience and women in the audience and conservative people and talk to them about my vagina. Let me tell you this. Vagina Monologues has been performed across the planet and people have harassed those women. The actors have been beaten up. Sometimes police is to be called because the audience takes charge. But Eve Ensler did not stop. And she, in fact, decided to take it further and created this movement. As a part of this movement, 5,800 events, much like this, are being performed across the globe. ISB registered to be a part of those. So whether you like it or not, or whether you know it or not, today you're part of a very big movement to stop violence against women. As part of this movement, we were asked to choose a local NGO. When we started approaching NGOs, it was quite funny. 3 of them declined donations. I didn't understand. I said, we want to give you money, we don't want you to do anything. They said, no, we have enough money. Which is when we went looking for this one NGO called Safa, who survives on small donations, but make a very big difference. I've gotten to know Rubina, who is the founder CEO, personally myself, since we did some work with her, and she's an inspiring woman. So Rubina, would you please come on stage and tell us your story?
Good evening to everybody and Assalamu Alaikum. I'm Rubina Mazhar and I'm the CEO and founder of an NGO called Safa. We've been working in the slums of Bhulanagar and First Lancer area, which is a 4th generation slum located near Masab Tank area in Hyderabad. We've been working there since nearly 6 years now, and it's been a journey for us. When we talk of empowerment, like what Saloni was saying just now, empowerment for us is not the time when a woman stands up and says, no, I've had enough. Empowerment for us, for our women, is a journey which we started on about 6 years back. I take my inspiration from Professor Muhammad Yunus, who started the Grameen movement in Bangladesh. And there is a short anecdote which goes along with it, which is something like that. It says that starting changing societies through a cup of yogurt. What this gentleman did was, he has got in touch with a corporate giant from France, which deals in dairy. And those products, the yogurt, was brought down into Bangladesh, into a small sleepy town of Bangladesh. This yogurt, there was a unit which was set up over there, and from there on, it has served to employ 1,600 people right now, and also serve malnutrition children. This kind of a movement is where what we are actually looking at, in which the corporates are actually joining hands with the NGOs Today when I see this auditorium, this air conditioning, the elite crowd, all of you tomorrow will go down into boardrooms, probably take a lot of decisions. What I would say is, please go ahead with any decision in your mind which creates a social impact in the community. We need a lot of people, youngsters like you, who have taken in so much of solid grounding, so much of solid technical education. And what we should be looking at probably in the future is joining hands with NGOs, moving ahead with NGOs, in which social impact comes in the core business activity. So along with the revenue that you're generating, you should also be looking at the social impact. It is my request to you all. I wasn't actually prepared for such a big crowd. Saloni didn't talk to me about it. But nevertheless, I wish you all the best. I've got a couple of women with me, in which I would like to invite Samina, who's been working with us since 3 years. She comes from a family, from our beneficiaries. We are looking at a lot of support from individuals like you. We run a lot of community awareness programs. For example, our Roshni Club, in which we are looking for funds. We look for small funds like sewing machines. We are looking for a lot of funds which are just sponsoring the snacks for the women that we are working with. Any Saturday you come down to our center, you'll find about 100 women at our center just waiting to listen to us on capacity building exercises. I won't be talking too much about our women. I think probably they would like to talk to you. For them, it is a one in a lifetime chance to be standing on stage, and I always encourage our women to come up on stage and just feel free to talk. I would request your support in whatever activities we are doing. We have a stall outside, you can buy up stuff from there, and also probably if you think you are actually capable of not just generating income, but also being a part of social change. I really sincerely request you to go ahead with that. So, Samina.
मेरा नाम समीना है। मेरी शादी हो चुकी है, मेरे 3 बच्चे हैं। मेरे शौहर का नाम मोहम्मद यूनुस है और मेरे 3 बच्चे, एक बच्चा है, 2 बच्चे बच्ची है। और मैं सफा में काम करती हूँ। मेरी शादी से पहले मैं थोड़ा बहुत काम करती थी, तो लोग समझे कि शादी के बाद करती होंगी बोल के, फिर मेरे को शादी करके लेके गए। उसके बाद टॉर्चर करने लगे, तो मेरे शौहर अलग लेके रहे मेरे को। और उसके बाद मेरे को पैसों की तंगी आने लगी, टेंशन होने लगे घर में, मेरे शौहर को भी मेरे को। तब मेरे को मालूम हुआ कि सफा सेंटर ऊपर खुला। उसके बाद मैं वहाँ जाने लगी और वहाँ काम करने लगी, और मैं हर बैग बनाती हूँ वहाँ पर।
मेरा नाम नसरीन बेगम है और मेरी भी शादी हो चुकी है। मेरे 5 बच्चे हैं, 3 लड़कियां हैं, 2 लड़के हैं। और मेरे को भी पहले, शादी से पहले कुछ भी नहीं आता था। शादी के बाद में भी कुछ भी नहीं आता था। खाना पकाना, ये करना, घर पे बैठना, बस ये चाहता था। और हमारे एक शौहर कमाते, बस उसमें कुछ भी नहीं होता था। अब वही परेशान रहते थे, कैसा करना, क्या करना, परेशान रहते थे। फिर मालूम हुआ कि ऐसा हमारे फजलान साहब में एक सेंटर है, बोले तो मेरे को ख्वाहिश हुई कि मैं टेलरिंग सीखूं वर्किंग। फिर वहाँ पे जाके मैं टेलरिंग सीखी, करी। उसके बाद में मेरे पास मशीन भी नहीं थी। फिर इसके बाद में मैं तो पुरानी मशीन लेके फिर काम शुरू करी, सेंटर सीख के करके। जब कमा रही तो मेरे हाथ में थोड़े बहुत पैसे रह रहे, और मेरे बच्चों का भी मैं थोड़ा बहुत हेल्प कर सक रही हूँ, उनके लिए जो चाहे खरीद सक रही हूँ। न तो पहले बहुत परेशान रहती थी, कैसा करना, क्या करना, एक जनों की कमाई में होता भी नहीं था उतना।
Give it up for the real heroes of this. And now, we present E. Bensler's masterpiece, Vagina Monologues.
I bet you're worried.
We were worried.
We were worried about vaginas. We were worried what we think about vaginas, and even more worried what we don't think about them. We were worried about our vaginas. They needed a context of other vaginas, a community, a culture of vaginas. There's so much darkness and secrecy surrounding them. Like the Bermuda Triangle. Nobody ever reports back from there.
In the first place, it's not so easy to even find your own vagina. Women go weeks, months, sometimes even years looking at it. A high-powered businesswoman was interviewed, and she said she was too busy. She didn't have the time. Looking at your own vagina, she said, is a full day's work. You have to get down there on your back in front of a mirror, standing on its own for length preferred. You've got to get in the perfect position with the perfect lighting, which then is shadowed somehow by the mirror, and then the angle that you're at, and you get all twisted up. You're arching your head up, killing your back. You're exhausted by then. She said she didn't have the time for that. She was busy.
So there were vagina interviews, which became Vagina Monologues. Over 200 women were interviewed. Older women, younger. Married women, lesbians. Single women, college professors, actors, corporate professionals, sex workers, African American women, Asian women, Hispanic women, Native American women, Caucasian women, Jewish women, so many. Okay, at first, women were reluctant to talk. They were a little shy. But once they got going, you couldn't stop them. Women secretly love to talk about their vaginas. They get very excited, mainly because no one has ever asked them before.
Let's just start with the word vagina. It sounds like an infection and test. Maybe a medical instrument. Hurry nurse, bring me the vagina. 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 Doesn't matter how many ever times you say it, it never sounds like a word you want to say. It's a totally ridiculous, completely unsexy word. If you use it during sex, trying to be all politically correct, darling, could you please stroke my vagina? You kill the act right there.
We were worried about vaginas, what we call them and what we don't call them.
In Great Neck, New York, they call it pussycat. A woman there said that her mother used to tell her, "Don't wear panties underneath your pajamas, dear. You need to air out your pussycat."
In Westchester, they call it a pookie.
In New Jersey, a twat.
There's powder box, poochie, poo-poo, pee-pee, popello, punani, pal, and a
Toti, nishi, dignity, monkey box,
Coochie snorcher, hooter, nabbe,
Gladys Siegelman, wow, wee wee, hotspot, nappy dugout,
mongo, mookie, a pajama, fanagoo, marshmallow,
a goalie, possible, tamale, totita, Connie,
a mini in Miami,
and a split niche in Philadelphia.
and a schmend in Bronx.
Chooth,
Arey, puku in Telugu.
Futti,
we were worried about vaginas.
You cannot love a vagina unless you love hair. Many people do not love hair. My first and only husband hated hair. He said it was cluttered and dirty. He made me shave my vagina. It looked puffy and exposed like a little girl. This excited him. Then he made love to my vagina, felt the way a beard must feel. just felt good to rub it, and painful, like scratching a mosquito bite. Felt like it was on fire. There was screaming red bumps. I refused to shave my vagina again. Then, my husband had an affair. When we went to marital therapy, he said he screwed around because I wouldn't please him sexually. I wouldn't shave my vagina. The therapist had a rush relax and gasped. Came sentences. To empathize the point, she asked me why I didn't want to please my husband. I told her I thought it was weird. I felt like when my hair was gone down there, I couldn't help talking in the baby voice. And then skin got irritated, and even the calamine lotion wouldn't help. She asked me, she told me, marriage was a compromise. I asked her if shaving my vagina would stop my husband from screwing around me. I asked her if she had many cases like this before. She said, questions diluted. I needed to jump in. She was sure it was a good beginning. This time, when we got home, he got to shave my vagina. It was like a therapy bonus. He clipped it a few times, and there was blood in the bathtub. He didn't even notice it, because he was so happy shaving me. Then later, when my husband was pressing against me, I could feel the spiky sharpness sticking into me. My naked, puffy vagina. There was no protection. There was no fluff. I realized then that hair is there for a reason. The leaf around the flower, the lawn around the house. You have to love hair in order to love the vagina. You cannot pick the party. And besides, husband never stops going around.
Women were asked the following questions.
If your vagina got dressed, what would it wear? Glasses? A beret? A leather jacket? Silk stockings? Mink? A pink boa?
A male tuxedo? Jeans? Something form-fitting?
Emeralds? An evening gown? Sequins?
Armani only?
A tutu? See-through black underwear? A 9-yard sari? Something machine washable?
Costume eye mask? Purple velvet pajamas? Angora? A red bow?
Ermine and pearls? A leopard hat? A silk kimono? Sweatpants? A ghagra choli? An electrical shock device to keep all those unwanted strangers away?
High heels? Lace and combat boots? Purple feather twigs and shells? Cotton?
A pinafore? A bikini? A raincoat? If your vagina could talk, what would it say? 2 words.
Slow down.
Is that you? Feed me. I want. Yum, yum. Oh, yeah.
Start again. No, over there. Lick me. Stay home. Brave choice.
Think again. More, please. Embrace me. Let's play. Don't stop. More. Remember me?
Come inside. right. Not yet. Oh, mama. Yes. Yes. Rock me.
Enter at your own risk.
Oh, God. Thank God. I'm here. Let's go. Let's go. Find me?
Thank you. Hello. Too hard. Don't give up. Don't give up. Where's Brian? That's better. Yes. There.
A group of women between the ages of 65 and 75 was interviewed. These interviews were the most poignant, possibly because many of these women had never ever had a vagina interview before. One woman, who was 72, had never ever seen her vagina. She washed herself in the shower and bath, but never with conscious intention. She had never had an orgasm. At 72, she went into therapy, as we do in New York, and with the help of a therapist, she went home one afternoon by herself, lit some candles, took a bath, played some music, and she got down with herself. She said it took her over an hour because she was arthritic, but when she finally found her clitoris, she said she cried. This monologue is for her.
Down there? I haven't been down there since 1953. No, it has nothing to do with Eisenhower. No. It's a cellar down. It's very damp, clammy. You don't want to go down there. Trust me. You get sick. Suffocating. Very nauseating. The smell of the clammies and the mildew and everything. Phew! Smells unbearable. Gets in your clothes. No, there wasn't an accident down there. It didn't blow up or catch fire or anything. It wasn't so dramatic. I mean, well, never mind. No, never mind. I can't talk to you about this. What's a smart girl like you going around talking to old ladies about their down there's for? We didn't do this kind of a thing when I was a girl. What? Jesus. Okay. There was this boy, Andy Leftkoff. He was cute. Well, I thought so. And tall like me. And I really liked him. One day, he took me out for a date in his car. I can't tell you this. I can't do this. Talk about down there. You just know it's there. Like the cellar. There's rumbles down there sometimes. You can hear pipes and things get caught there. Little animals and things, and it gets wet. And sometimes people have to plug up the leaks. Otherwise, the door stays closed. You forget about it. I mean, it's part of the house, but you don't see it or think about it. It has to be there though, because every house needs a cellar. Otherwise, the bedroom would be in the basement. Huh? Oh, Andy. Andy Leftkoff, right. Andy was very good looking. He was a cat. That's what they called it in my day. We were in his car, a new white Chevy Bel Air. I remember thinking that my legs were too long for the car seat. I have long legs, you see. They were smooshed up against the dashboard. And I was looking at my big kneecaps when he just kissed me in this take my control like they do it in the movies kind of way, and I got excited.
control it. It was like this force of passion, this river of life just flooded out of me, right through my panties, right onto the seat of his new white Chevy Bel Air. It wasn't pink, and it was smelly. But frankly, I didn't smell anything at all. But he said, Auntie said, that it smelled like sour milk and that it was staining his car seat. He said that I was a stinky, weird girl. I wanted to explain that his kiss had caught me off guard, that I wasn't normally like this. But I tried to wipe the flood with my dress. It was a yellow primrose dress, and it looked so ugly with the flood on it. And he drove me home without saying another word. And when I got out of his car and closed his car door, I closed the whole store, locked it, never opened for business again. I did think a little after that, but the idea of flooding made me so nervous, I never even got close to it again.
I used to have dreams. Crazy dreams. Oh, they were dopey. Why? Bert Reynolds. I don't know why. He never did much for me in life, but in my dreams, it was always Bert and I, Bert and I, Bert and I. It was always the same general dream. We'd be out, Bert and I. It was some restaurant like the kind you see in Atlantic City, all big with chandeliers and stuff and thousands of waiters in vests. Bert would give me an orchid corsage. I'd pin it on my blazer. We'd laugh. We were always laughing. Bert and I, laughing. We'd eat shrimp cocktail. Huge shrimp, fabulous shrimp. We'd laugh some more. We were very happy together. Then he'd look into my eyes and pull me to him in the middle of the restaurant. And just as he was about to kiss me, the whole restaurant would start to shake. Pigeons would fly out from under the table. I don't know what those pigeons were doing there. And the flood would come out straight from down there. It would pour out. It would pour and pour. There would be fish inside, and little boats. And the whole restaurant would fill with my flood, and Bert would be standing there waist deep in it, looking horribly disappointed in me that I'd done it again. Horrified as he watched his friends, Dean Martin and the like, swim past us in their tuxedos and evening gowns.
I don't have those dreams anymore. Not since they took away almost everything connected to down there. Moved out the uterus, the tubes, the whole works. The doctor thought he was being funny. He told me, if you don't use it, you lose it. Really. But really, I found out it was cancer. Everything around it had to go. Who needs it anyway? I highly overrated, to say the least. I've done other things. I love the dog shows. I sell antiques. You ask me what it would wear. What kind of question is that? What would it wear? It would wear a big sign, closed due to flooding.
What would it say? I told you, it's not like that. It's not like a person who speaks. It stopped being a thing that dropped a long time ago. It's a place you don't go. It's closed up under the house. It's down there. You happy? You made me talk. You got it out of me. You got an old lady to talk about her down there. You feel better now? You know, actually, you're the first person I ever told about this. And I feel a little better.
My vagina is a shell, a round,
one pink tender shell, opening and closing, closing and opening. My vagina is a flower, an eccentric tulip. The scent is cute and deep. The scent, delicate. The petals, gentle but sturdy. I did not always know this. I learned this in the Vagina workshop. I learned this from a woman who runs the Vagina workshop. A woman who believes in vaginas, who really sees vaginas, who helps other women see their own vaginas by seeing other women's vaginas. In the first session, the woman who runs the Vagina workshop asked us to draw a picture of our own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina. That's what she called it. She wanted to know what her own unique, beautiful, fabulous vagina looked like to us. One woman who was pregnant drew a big red mouth, screaming with coins spilling out of it. Another very skinny woman drew a big serving plate with a kind of Devonshire pattern on it. I drew a huge black dot with little squiggly lines around it. The black dot was equal to a black hole in space, and the squiggly lines were meant to be people or things or just your basic atoms that got lost there. I had always thought of my vagina as an anatomical vacuum, randomly sucking up particles and objects from the surrounding environment. I did not think of my vagina in practical or biological terms. I did not, for example, see it as something attached to me. In the workshop, we were asked to look at our own vaginas with hand mirrors. Then, after careful examination, we were to verbally report to the group what we saw. I must tell you that up until this point, everything I knew about my vagina was based on hearsay or invention. I'd never really seen the thing. It had never occurred to me to look at it. My vagina existed for me on some abstract plane. It seemed so reductive and awkward, looking at it like we were in the workshop on our shiny blue mats with our hand mirrors. It reminded me of how the early astronomers must have felt with their primitive telescopes. I found it quite unsettling at first, my vagina. Like the first time you see a fish cut open and you discover this other bloody complex world inside, right under the skin. It was so raw, so red, so fresh. And the thing that surprised me the most was all the layers. Layers inside layers, opening into more layers. My vagina amazed me. I couldn't speak when it came my turn in the workshop. I was speechless. I had awakened to what the woman who was running the Vagina workshop called the vaginal wonder. I just wanted to lay down there on my mat, my legs spread, examining my vagina forever. It was better than the Grand Canyon, ancient and full of grace. It had the innocence and freshness of a proper English garden. It was funny, very funny. It made me laugh. It could hide and seek, open and close.
Then the woman who ran the workshop asked how many women in the workshop had had orgasms. 2 women tentatively raised their hands. I didn't raise my hand, but I had had orgasms. I didn't raise my hand because they were accidental orgasms. They happened to me. They happened in my dreams, and I would wake in splendor. happen mostly in water, maybe in the bath, once in Cape Cod. They happened on horses, on bicycles, sometimes on the treadmill at the gym. I didn't raise my hand because although I'd had orgasms, I didn't know how to make one happen. I thought it was this mystical, magical thing. It felt wrong getting involved. I didn't want to interfere. It felt contrived, manipulative. It felt so Hollywood. The surprise would be gone, and the mystery. The problem, of course, was that the surprise was gone for 2 years. I hadn't had this magical, accidental orgasm in a long, long time, and I was frantic. That's why I'd gone to this vagina workshop. And then the moment arrived that I'd both dreaded for and longed for. The woman who ran the workshop asked us to take out our hand mirrors again and see if we could locate our clitoris. We were there, the group of us women, on our backs, on our mats, searching for our spots, our locus, our reason. And I don't know why, but I started crying. Maybe it was sheer embarrassment. Maybe it was knowing that I had to give up this fantasy, this enormous life-consuming fantasy that someone or something else was going to do this for me. The fantasy that something was coming to lead my life, to choose direction, to give me orgasms. I could feel this panic coming. The simultaneous terror and realization that I had avoided finding my clitoris so far. I'd rationalized it as mainstream, consumerist, because I was terrified. I was terrified that I didn't even have a clitoris. I was terrified that I was one of those constitutionally incapables, one of those frigid, dead, shut down, dry, apricot tasting, bitter, oh my God. I lay there with that mirror just looking for my spot, reaching with my fingers, and suddenly all I could think about was this time when I was 10 years old and I lost my ring with all my emeralds in this lake when I was swimming. How I kept diving over and over and over to the bottom of this lake, running my hands all over stones and fish and bottle caps and all kinds of slimy stuff, but I never found my ring. The panic I felt, I knew I was going to be punished. The woman who ran this workshop saw me scrambling, my insane sweating and my heavy breathing. She came over. I told her, it's gone, it's gone. I've lost my clitoris. I should have worn it when I went swimming. The woman who ran the workshop laughed. She calmly stroked my head. She told me my clitoris wasn't something I could lose. It was me, she said. The essence of me. It was both the doorbell to my house and the house itself. I didn't have to find it. I had to be it. Be it. Be my clitoris. Be my clitoris. I lay back and closed my eyes. I put the mirror down. I watched myself floating above myself. I watched as I slowly began to approach myself and re-enter. I felt like this astronaut re-entering the surface of the earth. It was very quiet, this re-entry. Quiet and gentle. I bounced and landed and bounced. I came into my own muscles and blood and cells, and then I slid into my vagina. It was suddenly easy and I fit. I was all warm, pulsing, ready, young and alive. And then, without looking, my eyes still closed, I put my finger on what had suddenly become me. There was a little quivering at first. It urged me to stay. Then the quivering slowly became a small quake, and then an eruption, the layers dividing and subdividing. The quaking broke open into an ancient horizon of light and silence, which opened onto a plane of music and colors and innocence and longing, and I felt connection, calling connection as I lay there thrashing about on my little blue mat. My vagina is a shell, a tulip, and a destiny. I am arriving as I begin to leave. My vagina, me.
The only organ in the body designed purely for pleasure. The clitoris is simply a bundle of nerves, 8,000 nerve fibers to be precise. That's a higher concentration of nerve fibers than is found anywhere else in the male or female body, including the fingertips, lips, and tongue. And it is twice the number in the penis. Who needs a handgun when you've got a semi-automatic? This monologue was based on an interview with a woman who had a good experience with a man.
This is how I came to love my vagina. It's embarrassing because it's not politically correct. I know, it should have happened in a bath with salt grains from the Dead Sea, Enya playing, me loving my woman self. I know the story. Vaginas are beautiful. Our self-hatred is only the internalized repression and hatred of the patriarchal culture. It isn't real. Pussies, unite!
Pussies, unite!
I know all of it. Like, if we'd grown up in a culture where we were taught fat thighs are beautiful, we'd all be pounding down milkshakes and Krispy Kremes, lying on our backs, spending our days thigh expanding. But we didn't grow up in that culture. I hated my thighs, and I hated my vagina even more. I thought it was incredibly ugly. I was one of those women who had looked at it, and from then on, I wished I hadn't. It made me sick. I pitied anyone who had to go down there. In order to survive, I began to pretend there's something else between my legs. I imagined furniture. Cozy futons with light cotton comforters, little velvet settees, leopard rugs, or pretty things like silk handkerchiefs, quilted pot holders, or place settings. I got so accustomed to all this, I lost all memory of having a vagina. Whenever a man was inside me, I pictured him inside a mink-lined muffler or a Chinese bowl. Then I met Bob. Bob was the most ordinary man I ever met. He was thin and tall and nondescript and wore khaki tan clothes. Bob did not like spicy foods or listen to Prince. He had no interest in sexy lingerie. In the summer, he spent time in the shade. He did not share his inner feelings. He did not have any problems or issues and was not even an alcoholic. He wasn't very funny or articulate or mysterious. He wasn't mean or unavailable. He wasn't self-involved or charismatic. He didn't drive fast. I didn't particularly like Bob. I would have missed him altogether if he hadn't picked up my change that had dropped on the deli floor. When he handed me back my quarters and pennies and his hand accidentally touched mine, something happened. I went to bed with him. That's when the miracle occurred. Turned out that Bob loved vaginas. He was a connoisseur. He loved the way they felt, the way they tasted, the way they smelled, but most importantly, he loved the way they looked. He had to look at them. The first time we had sex, he told me he had to see me. I'm right here, I said. No, you, he said. I have to see you. Turn on the light, I said, thinking he was a weirdo and freaking out in the dark. He turned on the light, then he said, okay, I'm ready to see you. Right here, I waved. I'm right here, Bob. Then he began to undress me. What are you doing, Bob? I said. I need to see you, he replied. No need, I said. Just do it. I need to see what you look like, he said. But you've seen a red leather couch before, I said. Bob continued. He would not stop. I wanted to throw up and die. This is awfully intimate, I said. Can't you just do it? No, he said. It's who you are. I need to look. I held my breath. He looked and looked. He got breathy and his face changed. He didn't look ordinary anymore. He looked like a hungry beast. "You're so beautiful," he said. "You're elegant and deep and innocent and wild." "You saw that there?" I said. It was like he read my palm. "I saw that," he said, "and more, much, much more." He stayed looking for almost an hour, as if he was studying a map, observing the moon, staring into my eyes, but it was my vagina. In the light, I watched him looking at me, and he was so genuinely excited, so peaceful and euphoric. I began to get wet and turned on. I began to see myself the way he saw me. I began to feel beautiful and delicious, like a great painting or a waterfall. Bob wasn't afraid. He wasn't grossed out. I began to swell, began to feel proud, began to love my vagina. And Bob lost himself there, and I was there with him in my vagina, and we were gone.
This is a not so happy fact found in UNICEF's 2005 report, Female Genital Mutilation and Cutting, a Statistical Exploration. Female genital mutilation has been inflicted on approximately 130 million girls and young women. In the 28 countries where it is practiced, mostly in Africa, about 3 million young girls a year can expect the knife or the razor or a glass shard to cut their clitoris or remove it altogether. In a man, it would range from amputation of most of the penis to removal of all of the penis. Short-term results include tetanus, hemorrhage, cuts in the urethra, bladder, and vaginal walls. Long-term, chronic uterine infection, increased agony, and danger during childbirths and early deaths.
My vagina is angry. It is. It's pissed off. My vagina is furious, and it needs to talk. It needs to talk about all this shit. It needs to talk to you. I mean, what's the deal? An army of people are there thinking of ways to torture my poor ass, gentle, loving vagina, spending their days constructing psycho products and nasty ideas to undermine my pussy. Vagina motherfuckers. All the shit they're constantly trying to shove up us. Clean us up, stuff us up, make it go away. Well, my vagina's not going away. It's pissed off and it's staying right here. Like tampons. What the hell is that? A water dry fucking cotton stuffed up there? Why can't you find a way to subtly lubricate the tampon? As soon as my vagina sees it, it goes into shock. It says forget it. It closes up. You need to work with the vagina. Introduce it to things. Prepare the way. That's what foreplay is all about. You gotta convince my vagina. Seduce my vagina. Engage my vagina's trust. You can't do that with a dry wad of fucking cotton. Stop shoving things up me. Stop shoving and stop cleaning it up. My vagina doesn't need to be cleaned up. It smells good already. Don't let it decorate. Don't believe them when he tells you it smells like rose petals, when it's supposed to smell like pussy. That's what they're doing. Trying to clean it up. Make it smell like bathroom spray or a garden bath. All those douche sprays. Floral. Berry. Best of all, rain. I don't want my pussy to smell like rain. All cleaned up like washing a fish after you've cooked it. I want to taste the fish, man. That's why I ordered it. Then there are those exams. Who thought them up? There's got to be a better way to do those exams. Why the scary paper dress that scratches your tits and crunches when you lie down, so you feel like a wad of paper someone threw away. Why the rubber gloves? Why the flashlight all up there like Nancy Drew working against gravity? Why the Nazi steel stirrups? The mean cold ducklets they shove inside you? What's that? My vagina is angry about those visits. It gets defensive weeks in advance. It won't go out of the house. Then you get there. Don't you hate that? Slow it down. Relax your vagina. Why? So you can shove mean cold ducklets inside it? I don't think so. Why can't they find some nice delicious purple velvet and wrap it around me? Lay me down on some feathered cotton spread. Put on some nice trendy pink or blue gloves. Rest my feet on some fur-covered stirrups. Warm up those ducklets. Work with my vagina. But no. More tortures. Dry water fucking cotton. Cold ducklets. And thong underwear. That's the worst. Thong underwear. Who thought that? Moves around all the time. Gets stuck in the back of your crusty butt. It does. Vaginas are supposed to be loose and wide, not held together. That's why girdles are so bad. We need to move and spread and talk and talk. Vaginas need comfort. Make something like that. Something to give them pleasure. No, of course they won't do that. They aim to see a woman having pleasure, particularly sexual pleasure. And make a nice pair of soft cotton underwear with a French tickler built in. Women would be coming all day long. Coming in the supermarket, coming on the subway, coming happy vaginas. They wouldn't be able to stand it, seeing all this energized, not taking shit, hot, happy vaginas. If a vagina could talk, it would talk about itself like me. It would talk about other vaginas. It would do vagina impressions. It would wear high instant diamonds, no loading, just there, draped with diamonds. My vagina has released a giant baby. It thought it would be doing more of that. It's not. Now, it wants to travel. It doesn't want a lot of company. It wants to read and know things and get out more. It wants change. It wants sex. It loves sex. It wants to go deeper. It's hungry for depth. It wants kindness. It wants silence and freedom and gentle kisses and warm liquids and deep touch. It wants chocolate. It wants to scream. It wants to stop being angry. It wants to come. It wants to want. It wants my vagina. My vagina, well, it wants everything.
Bosnian women refugees were interviewed in the war of Yugoslavia in refugee camps and centers. 20 to 70,000 women were raped in the middle of Europe as a systematic tactic of war. It was shocking to see how little people did to stop it. But then again, in India, a woman is raped every 20 minutes, which is another kind of war. This monologue is based on one woman's story. We do it tonight for that woman and the extraordinary women of Bosnia and Kosovo.
My vagina was my village. My vagina was green, water-soft, pink fields, cow mowing, sun resting, sweet boyfriend touching lightly with soft piece of blonde straw.
There is something between my legs. I do not know what it is. I do not know where it is. I do not touch. Not now, not anymore, not since.
My vagina was chatty. Can't wait, so much say. Words talking, can't quit trying, can't quit saying, oh yes, oh yes.
Not since I dreamed there's a dead animal sewn in down there with thick black fishing line. And the bad dead animal smell cannot be removed. And its throat is slit and it bleeds through all my summer dresses.
My vagina was singing all girl songs, all goat bell ringing songs, all wild autumn field songs, vagina home songs.
Not since the soldiers put a long, thick rifle inside me. So cold, the steel rod cancelling my heart. Don't know whether they're going to fire it or shove it through my spinning brain. 6 of them, monstrous doctors with black masks, shoving bottles up me too. There were sticks and the end of a broom.
My vagina, swimming river water, clean spilling water over sun-baked stones, over clit stones, over stone clits, over and over and over.
Not since I heard the skin tear and made lemon screeching sounds. Not since a piece of my vagina came off in my hand. A part of the lip. Now one side of the lip is completely gone.
My vagina, my live, wet water village. My vagina, my hometown.
Not since they took turns for 7 days, smelling like feces and smoked meat, they left their dirty sperm inside me. I became a river of poison and pus, and all the crops died, and the fish.
My vagina, a live, wet water village.
They invaded it, butchered it and burnt it down.
I do not touch it now.
Do not visit.
I live someplace else now.
I don't know where that is.
We've created a map of vagina-friendly cities. Welcome, ISB. They're wild for vaginas in India. In fact, a woman from Delhi was obsessed about a particular word, a pejorative word used to describe the vagina. Her mission was to reconceive the word.
I call it cunt. I have nicknamed it. I really like it. Cunt. Listen to it. Cunt. Cunt. Capital. Capital. Clit. Cute. Come close. Closed inside. Then you. Then curvy. Invited. Shark skin. You. Uniform. Under. Up. Urge. Then snap letters fitting perfectly together. Next. Now. Nexus. Nice. Always depth, always round in uppercase. Jagged, wicked, electrical pulse. And soft, and warm, and then the sharp, certain, tangy texture. Cake. Tight, tantalizing, tensing, taste. Tendrils. Time. Tactile. Tell me, cunt. Tell me, say it. Cunt. Cunt, say it, cunt.
A 6-year-old girl was asked, if your vagina got dressed, what would it wear? Red high tops and Mets cap worn backwards. And if it could speak, what would it say? It would say words that begin with V and T. Turtle and violin are examples. What does your vagina remind you of? A pretty dark peach, or a diamond I found from a treasure and now it's mine. What's special about your vagina? Somewhere deep inside, it has a really, really smart brain. And what does it smell like? Snowflakes.
Sex workers have rich, compelling, complex relationships with their vaginas. This particular woman blows my mind. She was a sex worker, but only she did sex work with women.
I love vaginas. I love women. I don't even see them as two separate things. Women pay me to dominate them, to excite them, to make them come. I did not start out like this. On the contrary, I was a lawyer. But in my late 30s, I became obsessed with making women happy. It began as a mission of sorts, but then I got involved in it. I got very good at it, kind of brilliant. It was my art. I started getting paid for it. It was as if I'd found my calling. I wore outrageous outfits when I dominated women. Lace, silk, leather, and I used props, rope, dildos, whips, handcuffs. There was nothing like this in tax law. There were no props, no excitement, and I hated those blue corporate suits. Although I do wear them now and again in my new line of work, and it serves quite nicely. There were no props in corporate law, no wetness, no dark, mysterious foreplay, no erect nipples, no delicious mouths. But mainly, there was no moaning. Not the kind I'm talking about anyway. This was the key. I see it now. Moaning was the thing that ultimately seduced me and got me addicted to making women happy. When I was a little girl, I would see women in the movies making love, making strange orgasmic moaning noises. I used to laugh. I got strangely hysterical. I couldn't believe that big, outrageous, ungoverned sounds like that came out of women. I longed to moan. I practiced in front of the mirror, of a tape recorder, moaning in various keys, various tones. But always, when I played it back, it sounded fake. It was fake. It wasn't rooted in anything sexual, really, only in my desire to be sexual.
But then when I was 10, I had to pee really badly once, on a car trip. It went on for almost an hour, and then when I finally got to pee in this dirty little gas station, it was so exciting, I moaned. I moaned as I peed. I couldn't believe it. Me moaning in a Texaco station in the middle of Louisiana. I realized right then that moans are not connected with getting something that you want right away. It's with putting things off. I realized moans were best when they caught you by surprise. They came out of this hidden, mysterious part of you that was speaking its own language. I realized that moans were, in fact, that language. I became a moaner. It made most men anxious. Frankly, terrified them. I was loud and they couldn't concentrate on what they were doing. They'd lose focus and then they'd lose everything. We would make love in people's homes, the walls were too thin. I got a reputation in my building and people stared at me in contempt in the elevator. Men thought I was too intense. Some thought I was insane.
And so I began to feel bad about moaning. I
I got quiet and polite. I made noise into a pillow. I learned to choke my moan, hold it back like a little sneeze. I began to get headaches and stress-related disorders. I was becoming hopeless. And then I discovered women. I discovered that most women loved my moaning. But more importantly, I discovered how deeply excited I got when other women moaned, when I was responsible for their moaning. I made love to quiet women, and I found this place inside them, and they shocked themselves in their moaning. I made love to moaners, and they found a deeper, more penetrating moan.
It's a kind of surgery, a kind of delicate science really. Finding the tempo, the exact location or home of the moon, that's what I call it. Sometimes I found it over a woman's jeans. Sometimes I snuck up to it, off the record, quietly the surrounding alarms moving in. Sometimes I use force, but not violent, oppressive force, more like dominating. I'm going to take you someplace, don't worry, lay back and enjoy the ride kind of force. Sometimes it was simply mundane. I found the moon even before things started, while we were eating salad or chicken, just casual right there with my fingers. Here it is like that, real simple in the kitchen, all mixed up in the balsamic vinegar. Sometimes I used props. I loved props. Sometimes I made the woman find her own moon right in front of me. I waited, stuck it out until she opened herself. I wasn't fooled by the minor, more obvious moons. No. I pushed her further all the way into her power moon. Well, there's the clit moon.
The vaginal moan.
The combo clit vaginal moon.
The right on it moan.
Yes! 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 The African American moon.
Oh shit! The doggy moan.
The uninhibited, militant, bisexual moon.
The diva moan.
The machine gun moon.
The ISB moon.
Shit! You're calling me
The Bengali moon.
Oh ma! The UP moon. Papu ke papa.
The Tamilian moon.
I am Krishna.
And finally, the surprise triple orgasm moon.
Oh,
For some time, without any mention of birth. This was a bizarre omission. But then again, a male journalist recently asked, what's the connection? Our author, Eve Ensler, was present for the birth of her granddaughter. She was in awe of vaginas before that moment. She's in deep worship now.
I was there when her vagina opened. We were all there, her mother, her husband, and I. And the nurse from Ukraine, with her whole hand up there in her vagina, feeling and turning with a rubber glove, as she talked casually to us, like she was turning on a loaded faucet. I was there, in the room, when the contractions made her crawl on all fours, made unfamiliar moans leak out of her boobs. And still there, after hours, when she just
screamed suddenly, wide, her arms striking at the electric air.
I was there when her vagina changed from a shy sexual hole to an archaeological tunnel, a sacred vessel and a Venetian canal, a deep well with a tiny stuck child inside waiting to be rescued. I saw the colors of her vagina. They changed. I saw the broken blue, the blistering tomato red, the grey pink, the dark. I saw the blood-like perspiration along the edges. I saw the yellow-white liquid, the clots pushing out of all holes, pushing harder and harder. I saw through the bone, the baby's head, scratches of black hair. Saw it just there, behind the bone, a hard, round memory. As the nurse from Ukraine kept turning and turning her slippery hand.
I was there when each of us, her mother and I, held her leg and spread her wide, pushing with all our strength against her pushing. And her husband sternly counting, 1, 2, 3, telling her to focus harder. We looked into her then. We couldn't get our eyes out of that place. We forget the vagina, all of us. What else would explain our lack of awe or a lack of reverence? I was there when the doctor reached in with Alice in Wonderland spoons, and there as the vagina became a wide operating mouth, sinking with all its strength, first the little head, then the great flopping arm, then the fast-swimming body, swimming quickly into our weeping arms.
I was there later, when I just turned and faced her vagina. I stood and let myself see her, all spread, completely exposed, mutilated, swollen, and torn. Bleeding all over the doctor's hand, who was calmly sewing her there. I stood, and her vagina suddenly became a wide, red, pulsing heart. The heart is capable of sacrifice. So is the vagina. The heart is able to forgive and repair. It can change its shape to let us in. It can expand to let us out. So can the vagina. It can ache for us and stretch for us, die for us, and bleed us into this difficult, wondrous world. I was there in the room, I remember.
Will be beaten or raped in her lifetime.
That's more than 1 billion women living on the planet today.
ISB refuses to stand by as more than 1 billion women experience violence.
Tonight, we are rising with millions of men and women around the world to say, enough, the violence ends now.
1 billion rising is an appreciation, an amplification, an escalation.
1 billion rising is a global call to action. We have gathered throughout the world.
1 billion rising is a communal, joining us in solidarity, purpose, and energy, showing the world our collective strength, our numbers, our unity.
1 billion rising is shaking the world into a new consciousness.
We are dancing across every country on every continent.
Dancing insists we take up space.
It has no set direction, but we go there together.
It's dangerous, joyous, sexual, holy, and disruptive.
It breaks the rules.
It can happen anywhere, at any time, with anyone and everyone.
It's free.
It requires touching the music.
No corporation can control it.
It joins us and pushes us to go further.
It's contagious and it spreads quickly.
It's off the body.
It's transcendent.
We are dancing in defiance of the injustices we, our mothers, sisters, lovers, and friends have suffered.
1 billion rising is a celebration.
We are dancing in the streets, in auditoriums, in churches, in stadiums, in huts, in our homes.
We are shaking the planet today in a powerful act of refusal to let the violence continue.
We are saying no more. We are saying
no more.
We are
1 billion rising.
Yeah, so please go have a break of 5-10 minutes and please be here in 10 minutes because the music club event happens after the amphitheater. So please be